morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Welcome to the Echoes Unheard. So, sir, before we start the podcast, can you just tell us about your Sporthood organization so that our audience can get a view?
Sure. Okay. So today Sporthood is India's largest sports coaching academy. We train more than 5,000 kids between the ages of 5 to 18 in the sports of football, badminton, and swimming. Right. And what we've established is a grassroots network that allows kids to start training in their favorite sport close to where they live. Maybe neighborhood turfs or badminton courts, or in the schools that they study, right? And then progress upwards all the way to become professional players if they want to. Okay, so as an example, I can tell you that we have about 130 odd locations where kids can start coaching, and they can start as early as the age of 5.
Okay.
And then as they learn, right, they progress up the ranks here. So we have a beginner level, then the kids move to advanced, then to elite, where the the level that they train, the level that they compete also keeps going up. And so it's a typical pyramid structure where kids move up from beginner, advanced, elite, then go to our residential academies, and then the best kids who graduate out of the system get scouted by professional clubs.
Okay.
So for instance, we have a tie-up with 3 of the top ISL clubs in football that play in India: Bengaluru FC, Kerala Blasters, and Hyderabad FC. So in all 3 partners, the arrangement is that talented kids who grew up the system, the scouts from these clubs are constantly monitored.
So, how you check on their progress? Like you organize any tournaments and all?
Yeah, so tournaments, of course. So scouting is a very important part of what we do, right? And what we've done at Sporthood is we've put a structure around scouting, right? So which is similar to what is prevalent in the West. So if you look at Europe and football, right? Football's been popular there for hundreds of years, right? And there's a very structured system that covers all schools, that covers all counties, where kids play, and then as they progress, they get spotted by scouts, and these typically are volunteers, that are there across the country. But what unifies and builds, unifies this system is they have a scouting process, which is uniform. So no matter, so you and I, we could be, scouts volunteering to spot talent in football, but what we look for, there are clear guidelines, right? And we record that. And these scouting reports are sent to the clubs, right? So we have a very similar structure here. We have about 150 coaches who train in multiple locations. They speak different languages. They are from different parts, of the country. But the way we evaluate the child, way we train the child, right, is uniform. So we have what we call a curriculum. So just like maths or science, how it's taught in schools, we made a curriculum for each sport: football, badminton, and swimming. And kids are taught as per the curriculum. And as they progress, right, these coaches, their important job is to, notice certain aspects of how well kids have learned some of these concepts or traits, right? And these are recorded. Now, once you have the data of how each kid is learning and progressing, then scouting becomes very easy. And that is the beauty of the system. That is how we, sort of built it. So tournaments, of course, tournaments for exposure, tournaments for learning perspective, yes. But tournaments is not the only way in which we scout. Okay, so that has been the traditional approach, right? That's where we sort of changed the, landscape a little bit.
So how you got an idea to start Sporthood? You were an athlete earlier?
No. So that's again a funny story. So through my life I've played, okay. So from school to college, as far as I can remember, I've always played, and I've always enjoyed playing. But I've never been coached, or I've never played professionally. Right? I've always been a passionate but casual player. The idea actually came when, so my graduation was in computer science, and then I went on to do my MBA. And post MBA, I had a stint abroad in Germany, where I got to spend about 3 years. And that is when I realized how sport was an essential part of the culture there, right? Where every single child and adult, right? They were so much more involved in sport and physical activity, and they continue to be involved through their lives. So one example that I tell people is the landlord of the place where I stayed. He was I think 65-year-old man. And he had a group of 60 to 70-year-olds who would play volleyball once a week.
Okay.
So at that time, and I'm talking about 2011, right? That time, this culture of playing was not there in India. We didn't have these sports centers all around, right? And it was unheard of. I mean, I couldn't imagine my dad, who was a similar age, going out and playing. Because the last time I saw him playing was when he was probably 30, right? And so that was the unfortunate reality at that point, where Indians would just stop playing, once they graduate out of school or college, and then wouldn't continue. As opposed to, the West, where the culture of sport is, very much part of their lifestyle. And I got to live that life for 2-3 years, and I found it to be wonderful. And when I came back to India, my stint was over, I came back to India, I wanted to replicate the same lifestyle. And that is the genesis of Sporthood. So that is what led to the idea that, I think sport has a role to play in everyone's life. And the realization that sport has to get to every neighborhood. So the name Sporthood also stands for sports in your neighborhood. So what we realized is, so the vision has been saying, cover one neighborhood at a time and let's make India sportier one neighborhood at a time was our first tagline.
Okay, sir.
Right? And that's how we started.
So you were doing some job in Germany.
Yeah.
So what you were doing?
So post MBA, I was a management consultant. So I was working with a German fashion retail chain. We were helping them turn around their operations. It's a hardcore management consulting job. And then, so before that I was a software engineer. So my past experience is in coding and in management.
So how you learned about this sports business management, sir?
I would say it's learning by doing. Right. So as I told you, I mean, I didn't have too much of a background in terms of how to coach or how to get coached. But of course, my educational background and experience, I knew how to build a business or how to run a business, right? The nuances of the field, of what happens in the sports field, I learned, on the job, right? While starting up, while running the business is when
Sir, so if someone like me who don't know anything about this business model, can you just explain us what this sports business management is all about?
Okay. So what Sporthood is about, or generally the field of sports business
this business model, what you were running,
right.
Sports business management.
Right. So our model is simple. So we have two verticals. One is coaching, right? So if you're a kid or an adult, you want to learn a sport, we provide coaching as a service. So you sign up with us. There will be a qualified trainer who will, come and train you on what you want, right? And you pay for that, right? So that is one vertical. The second vertical is we run sports centers. So if you are aware, that there are umpteen number of football turfs, badminton courts that are there across Bangalore and beyond, right? So we run these sports spaces and we make them more accessible to people.
Okay.
So for instance, if let's take the case of you wanting to play football, right? So smallest variety of the game is 5v5. So you need 10 players. Now you're a student, you studying long hours, right? What if one evening at 9 o'clock you want to play? What are the steps that you need to? You need to find 9 more players who are free at that time. All 9 should be interested in the game. They need to find a place where the facility is available, book the place and then play, right?
Okay.
It's a multi-step process. So when we take over a center, we break this down into simpler chunks. So we have what we call the concept of pickup games, which allow each individual to engage with the sport. Now the idea came from how running became a popular movement, right?
So you just say individual to play sport.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand that.
Exactly, right? So that's what I'm saying. So imagine you are choosing to run. You're choosing running as something that you want, as an activity you want to pursue. That is an individual's choice, right? So I can decide to run. I buy a pair of shoes. I can run whenever I want.
Okay.
Right? Imagine if sport were as simple as this to engage in. So you want to play badminton, you want to play football, right? And all you need to know is whether you are free or not, right? Then would you play more? Are you likely to play more than what you are doing today?
Yeah.
Yeah,
obviously,
right?
Yeah.
So this is exactly what we do. So what we've realized is whenever we take on sports infrastructure, we build a community around the sports infrastructure of people who love sport, right? They may or may not know each other, but they are united by a common passion for sport, right? So if you have a community of football enthusiasts, a lot of them would want to play whenever they are free, right? And once you have a critical number, if once the community grows to a critical number, you will always have enough people in the system to make sure a game happens whenever you are free.
Okay.
So today you may be free at 7 o'clock, tomorrow you may be free at 8, day after at 9, doesn't matter, but there is a regular group of people who are playing there.
Basically, a connection is forming around the sports people.
Yes.
Like if I want to play football today, my whole colleagues are busy in doing work.
Yeah.
So I can just go through your app.
Yeah.
You have an app also.
Yes. So how we do that is, let me explain. How we do that is we have a mobile app where we list out all these games that we host,
Okay.
right? And looking at the app, you can see which game is free, how many slots are free. You can go join a slot. So instead of booking a court, finding people to play from just within your friend circle, what this allows you to do is you go and join a game and you make friends there.
Okay.
That's the beauty.
Means every time I play a game, every time my new connections are forming.
Yes.
Okay, sir. That's a nice concept actually.
Yeah.
Sir, when you take these slots, like you have booked a football field. So you go and find the football field, or people who owns that field comes to you and rent it.
Works both ways, right? So we have a business development team who regularly reaches out to our partner network, and we empanel these turfs, and they come on board, right? But we do through our social media channel, because we have a lot of reach. There are turfs which open up, which reach out this side as well, saying that they want to become a partner center.
Okay.
So we have a partnership model with turfs where they come on board. Our services, including coaching, all these games, adults training, all of that, get rolled out at their venue.
Sir, you just say partnership model. So how this works? Like, what is the percentage they get, and what is the percentage you get in the profit?
Yeah. So it really depends on what the nature of the partnership is.
Okay.
I won't be able to give you exact percentage, but to give you a sense, right? So let's take coaching for instance. Coaching as a vertical, a lot of the value from coaching comes from the knowledge and the the curriculum, the knowledge and the presence of trained coaches that we have, right? And this is something that we offer to the venue partner who don't have these capabilities, right? So in that kind of a relationship, what happens is majority of the margin generated from the business is kept with us, right? And a fair share is passed on to the venue owner, because basically the venue owner, he or she has no costs associated with it. They have infrastructure, we are using the infrastructure, but they're getting, they're able to monetize the infrastructure. This allows us to monetize the infrastructure, right? Let's take the other case. If you are promoting discovery of a code that already exists, right? So I'm listing it on my platform, and therefore you came to know about the code. So there is value that I'm providing, but it's not majority of the value, right? Majority of the value comes from the fact that there is a football field there, right? So that part, they get majority of the margin that comes out of the activity as well. We take a minority share.
Okay.
So the share, exact percentage, really depends on how much value each person is bringing to the table.
More you add value, more the percentage.
More the percentage, as with any business.
Yeah. Sir, for example, if I own a code and I have coaches also, and I register my code in your website, then what percent means, like, then I will get more value than yours.
So we have a certain way of empaneling turfs, right?
Okay.
So as a turf partner, you can come on board and empanel with our coaching services. But coaching services, the coach, the curriculum, training, equipment, everything is provided by us.
Okay.
Right, so we don't have a model where you come in with your coach, and then we haven't launched it as yet. Where you come in with your turf and a coach and then come on board with us. We haven't launched it as yet.
Okay.
Maybe in the future we will explore that model as
well. Sir, on the what basis you hired a coach?
Most important with grassroots. So there are 2-3 things we look at, right? And we are looking at a grassroots system, right? So first and foremost is the attitude of the coach, right, and discipline, because these are qualities that a grassroots coach must have, right? He may or may not be the best player, may not have been the best player, in his childhood. That doesn't matter so much, right? But his attitude, does he have a learning attitude? Is he disciplined? These are 2 things that I really look at before hiring a coach. Rest of it can be trained. Right, and of course you should have knowledge in the sport. You should have played the sport at some level before you come in. The rest of it, of how to approach coaching, how do you teach a child, how is it different from an adult, what to do first, what to do next, how do you observe, all those things are taught.
Like you just said, you have followed curriculum. So your curriculum includes like from the beginner level to taking the child to the advanced level.
Yes.
So how it is like distributed, how you frame the curriculum?
So it's very similar to take say maths or science curriculum that you have in schools, right? You have first standard where you learn you know, the basics, right? If you take arithmetic, for example, first chapter you learn about addition, then go to subtraction, then go to multiplication. It's the same, right? You take football, you learn how to dribble, you learn the basics of how to pass, you learn the basics of how to shoot, right? The basic technique, right? Point of contact, body posture, follow through, things like that. So first is all basics, right? And then the effort is to make you better at it. You know, so there's a lot more repetition that you need in sport than you need in academics.
Yeah.
So, you know, addition you do maybe 10 times, you'll understand, right?
Sure.
But in sport, the more you do, the better you become at it, right? And the learning never stops. So, you know, a 5-year-old starts football by learning to how to dribble. Even professional players, they don't stop learning, right? They're constantly. So that doesn't mean that doesn't mean they stop dribbling drills. Even professional players, even today, while they're playing, do dribbling drills because you have to keep it.
I think you are surrounded by the sports people. So how it improve your lifestyle?
So yeah, that's true. I am constantly interacting with a lot of, you know, sports persons, young athletes, coaches, etc. I think first up, there's a lot of energy. I mean, you know, if you look at how it has helped me personally, I like the energy levels that are there around you in sport, right? Sport is a lot of, you know, there's always a lot of activity, a lot of passion, right? These are all, you know, very positive feelings that help me, you know, move on. Because as you know, see, on one side, sports is glitzy and there's glamour, you know, now that's what you normally associate with sports, right? When you think about sports, you think about Virat Kohli, you think about Sunil Chhetri.
Yeah.
But what most people don't realize is the amount of hard work, you know, persistence, perseverance that lies, you know, behind the scenes, right? Both for the individual athlete that we spoke about and the ecosystem that is there supporting them, right? So it's not an easy business. Sports is a very difficult business to do. But, you know, what keeps the motivation going in many cases is the, you know, these factors that I spoke of, right? The amount of passion, the discipline, the energy that we derive from people around you. And from that perspective, I think sports persons are a brilliant bunch, right? They know how to handle defeat. They know how to bounce back, right? They know how to handle themselves. They know what discipline is, right? Yes. Waking up every morning at 5 o'clock, doing the same routine over and over again is not easy, right? But when you're surrounded with people who do that, right, that rubs off on you, right? That helps you become a better person.
Sir, you just recently said sports as one side is very glamorous, like when we think about Virat Kohli, Sunil Shetty and all. So, but one side is like very dark also. If you have seen in news, like many rape cases, abuse cases are happening in our country.
Yeah.
Sir, through your organization, how you ensure that these shouldn't be happen from your end?
So as far as, so again, you know, child abuse, sexual harassment is something that we take very seriously. Prevention of sexual harassment is part of the induction training for all our coaches. So we have policies that I have set in place that ensures child safety. And our, you know, coaches, associates are all certified, and we have an external auditor. We've tied up, you know, with an expert who does audits of our spaces and our people and processes, you know, that minimizes the risk of something untoward happening in our, you know, space, right? That's what we do. You know, that's how we do our bit. And yeah, it's unfortunate. What you said is right. It is unfortunate that, you know, like in many other fields, sports field also has cases where people misuse their power and authority for, you know, wrongful reasons. And yeah, as with other organizations in this field, we feel that should not happen. And we would do our best to make sure that doesn't happen from within our system, at least.
So, are there any significant competitor in this field?
But there are multiple players. Of course, I mean, you're not the only ones here. Of course, sports wouldn't grow if there were only one company here, right? There are lots of people who work in this space. So if you look at our coaching vertical, for instance, there are a lot of coaching academies in India, thousands of coaching academies in India, small, large and small. We're probably the largest. We are the largest. But there are a lot of small coaches who run there. You know, imagine you're an individual coach, you have 20 kids whom you train. In some sense, they're also competitors, right? Yeah, and then there are, you know, other organizations like people who set up turfs. So we manage turfs. So some of the other turfs who are not part of the network will also become competition.
Okay, so basically I am very interested in learning your business, sir. Then when you started your business, what is the initial amount you put in the business?
So, you know, to give you context, we started this journey long before sports became an industry in India.
Okay.
Recreational sports, right? I'm not talking professional sports. So we started Sporthood probably about the time when the first football turf or the first indoor badminton court was being laid in the country. So we didn't need a lot of money initially, because our intention was we identified the space as something that is promising, that would explode in the next 10 years. We were confident. Personally, there was a lot of interest, in this space. So the initial few years was spent on learning about the space, right? So a lot of the experiments we did ourselves, a lot of the products we rolled out on our own. We had a small team of 5-6 people for the initial couple of years at least. And then once we formed a model and a prototype that could be replicated is when we started raising funds. So till date we've raised more than a couple of $1 million in funding so far across multiple.
So what is
phases.
the market capital of Sporthood now?
Today I would say we are about our value would be about 10 million USD.
10 million.
Yeah.
So it is a huge number.
Yeah. So this is after 10 years of effort. Countless experiments that have succeeded and failed. Right, combined effort of a lot of people, right? So yeah, that's the.
So like you said, you hire coaches, okay, that will train the athletes. So when you hire coaches, like they are like your employees, or you also have a partnership program?
We have both models. Both models. So we have a just like how football turfs or badminton coaches are our partners. Some coaches are also our partners. Okay. So we have a coaching partner model similar to what we have the infrastructure partner, right? So where they are not really on our rolls, but they do get trained, they get certified, and because they are certified, a certain amount of quality is ensured. Therefore, they get to train in many of these partner locations. Some of the senior coaches are directly on our rolls, right? So they are employees. So it's a mixed model.
So you just build partnership with the existing coaches, or you also have your own coaches and all?
So we don't have our own infrastructure as yet, but that is one of the projects that we are working on this year. We want to set up our own flagship, centers where, best in class infrastructure, is mixed with, best class service that we continue to provide. So far, all our infrastructure is owned by partners, and we provide service on top.
So how much equity you have right now, and how much is in hand of investors?
So investors today are about 30% of the company. Remaining is with us co-founders.
You and your co-founder, two people started the company. Okay, sir. Sir, when you started the company, from starting the company to till now, you have learned many lessons. So what do you think? Because as a Gen Z generations, we always think that when we first $1 million came into our mind that we have to earn $1 million. First thing comes into our mind is that we have to start a startup. So, sir, it is very easy to say but hard to do. So, what do you think? Why many startups in India fail, and what lessons you have learned? Obviously, you have came across many ups and downs in your business. So, what ups and downs you face, and what do you think? If a new generation or upcoming generation enters into this field, if he already has this idea that he don't have to make this mistake, then what lessons you will tell?
Yeah, okay. I think I hear 2-3 questions there. First, let me start with $1 million, right? So, my personal opinion is, if the reason why you start a company shouldn't only be that you want to make $1 million. That's what I personally feel. My personal biases in that. I feel starting a company is like entering into a marriage or having a child, right? Because your company is ultimately your baby, right? And you invest your heart and soul into it, right? And like years of your life is dedicated to it. Ideally, right? It may not be possible for everyone, but ideally, if you can convert your passion into your business, nothing like it. Because that's something that I have done. What it allows you to do is, startup journey is difficult, as you were alluding to, right? There will be lots of ups and downs, and the energy and the ability to maneuver the downslope comes more often from your passion and genuine interest in the field, right? So if that's there, it's much easier to ride the rough seas then, right? which is an important part that defines the success or failure of any organization. Because you may have the best idea, but translating that idea into business involves execution, and execution is usually never easy. If you stick onto it for long enough, right, and you're doing the right things, most 90% of cases you will succeed. But this long enough is an unknown, right? It could be a few months if you are really lucky. It could be a few years if for most people. It could be 10-15 years if you are not so lucky, right?
Sir, like you just say you grow a business like a baby. Sir, I want to ask, like in business, there are two possibilities. Either it will grow, either it will fall down. So what I have seen many people doing, like I'm very interested in this thing. So when I read about stories, people say that when they see the downfall in their business, they keen to sell their whole startup. And I have seen many people that even though their business is falling down, they don't sell their business. They keep on working on it and then make it a huge profit. Same Elon Musk also did. Same Tata Motors also did. So what do you think when your business is, if it goes well, it is very good. But if it is going down, what mindset you think we should have so that we can save our business from falling down?
So, grit and determination, right? It's simple, right? I mean, if really depends on how much you want your business to succeed and not fail, right? Your lowest moments, that is the only thing that keeps you going. The whole world may say that you're going to fail. You may be against, a task that may look informidable. But ultimately, it's your resolve, right? That gives you the energy to move forward. So, which is why I said earlier that, your conviction in the idea that you're pursuing or the business that you're building has to be strong enough to actually fuel you so that you can push through these dark hours.
So I have read a quote of Jeff Bezos. He said that if you have 60-70% idea also, implement it, then you see whether it works or not. But in current situation, I think India is a booming startup. Startups are booming a lot in India. So if I put on the money and it falls down, so to start a startup, the idea should be firm enough that I can think that this will grow. So how you will explain that if I have an idea, how I can decide whether it will grow or it will not grow, whether it is strong enough that I can build a huge project, or it is not that strong enough, or it is not that innovative also.
So you can answer that question at multiple levels. So at the most basic level, right, if anyone is looking to start, the first bit that you need to do is understand your market. So what we say, a market analysis, saying, okay, what usually there is a consumer need that you are trying to solve, which nobody else is giving in the market, which is why the opportunity exists. Right? So first is for you to define and try to quantify what that need is and how you are solving it. Second question is now, okay, fine, this is solved. How many such customers are there in the market? How big is the market really? Right? So imagine you are in, how do I give you an example? Imagine you are in a city which is fully vegetarian, and there are probably 4 families that eat non-veg, and you've cracked the recipe for the best mutton biryani that can be served, right? I mean, of course, 4 of them had the need, right? But your market size is 4, right? Or let's take the example of, let's say, a normal city where there are, let's take Hyderabad. You go to Hyderabad and try to sell Hyderabadi biryani, right? There are already 100 restaurants that sell Hyderabadi biryani in Hyderabad. How are you different, right? So these are all pointers that can give you a sense of how big can your baby become.
Okay.
Right. So if the market is not large enough, for instance, or it's difficult and you're just one among a lot of people, it's difficult for you to grow. You get a sense from that. You get a sense again. It's not firm. But if the market is not big or you feel you cannot grow, not a wise idea to start. However, having said this, most of us start with a business plan, and what we end up building is very, very different from that. So countless entrepreneurs, as you meet more people on the way, they will tell you the first business plan that they had, if they had stored it somewhere, and then 10 years later you look at that plan, you'd probably laugh at yourself. Because business, especially in a growing country like India, the industry is evolving, competitors are moving, right? Consumer patterns are changing,
Yes, sir.
right? So your plans will also change. right? So if the overall area is large enough, if your idea is sensible, there is value to be created, I think you will find your way to make money in this.
So like when you start a new product or when you build a new product, like recently I was learning drop shipping. Then I got to know that before selecting a product, you have to follow a checklist, like whether it will a wide group of people will accept the product or not, whether they will it will add a value to their life or not. What are the checklists you follow before building a product or before putting the product into the market?
Same things that I spoke about earlier. So one is what is the need? I mean, try defining the need very clearly, right? And how is it that we are solving? How many people are there who have this need? That defines my market size.
Sir, according to you, what are the current problems in the sports field that yet is not so solved?
So the biggest problem that we are also solving in the process of solving is today every Olympics we have this discussion, why is India not winning enough medals? Every World Cup we have this thing, apart from cricket, no other sport we are world beaters, right? I think there's a fundamental problem here, which is the reason why we are struggling. It's we don't have a good grassroots system in sports in India, where right talent gets right amount of grooming and right kind of exposure at a young age. By the time someone who's good at a sport captures the nation's attention, more often than not it's too late. Classic case, you would have heard our football captain Sunil Chhetri give that interview saying, once I became Sunil Chhetri, everyone wants to come and meet me, I get invited for functions, etc. But there was a 25 year period of how Sunil Chhetri was made, where Sunil Chhetri needed a lot of support. But didn't get much, right? No one spotted, right? That's the part. So, just translating into what we do today, what we are also, figuring out and building is a system where talent gets spotted at the age of 8, 9, 10. So then they are groomed, right? That is how the rest of the world operates. And this is the kind of system that India needs, right?
So do you think athlete that is very capable, that has lots of skill, that can go to the national level also? So what are the factors that are hindering many athletes? Because so many athletes like Sunil Chhetri, he is lucky enough, he got the chance. He has done hard work also. But many athletes are like, they have the skill. But like due to the money problem, due to the corruption is the biggest thing in India. So due to corruption and all, they are not able to express they are not able to show their skills in front of the whole world. How you can solve this problem?
So I feel, guidance and exposure, I would put it as two things that needs to improve. Guidance at the right age. So when you're small, you need guidance from a grassroots coach. When you hit your teens, you need guidance from a performance coach. So that then you can make it to the highest level, right? So the training that an elite athlete does is very different from what a grassroots athlete does. So the right kind of guidance at the right time is very important. Second is exposure. Exposure from the perspective of talent being spotted by people who are, looking to spot and groom talent. Also exposure for the kids growing up in terms of understanding what is out there. So to give you an example, we take our kids for international tours. The idea is they spend a week, 10 days. The idea is for them to see for themselves how a kid in Europe playing football at the same level operates. Right?
Okay.
And I'm not comparing with a Kevin De Bruyne. I'm comparing with a 10-year-old kid. This gives them the motivation and the understanding, which helps them work harder on themselves.
Okay.
Right? So it's a mix of both. So kids, young adults need to know what the level of competition is, what the level of their peer group is across the world, and people who are looking to groom talent should be able to spot who is the best. So if these two systems can be put in place.
So what are the measures you are taking so that sports should reach each and every corner of the world? Because many people are from rural areas. So how you are addressing those people?
So two things. One is data. So wherever we operate, we rely on data because data always speaks the truth. And that helps us. Patterns in data help us identify who's a good athlete, who's a promising athlete, etc. Second is we worked a lot on our business model to make it very affordable. So when I said 130 locations, where we do coaching, at least half of them are not in the big cities. So we've been able to work out a model where it is both affordable and it is accessible to large parts of suburban and rural India as well.
So your business team make ensure that sport is reaching each and every corner of the world. So basically it is a B2C model. Okay, sir. Sir, when you started this business model, so you initially need investor. So how, if I'm starting a business, how can I pitch my investors, sir? How you pitched your investors?
Yeah. So for that, it's important to understand what you're going to ask for. So imagine you're meeting with an investor, you're asking for money. There will be 2-3 questions in their mind. One will be how much money you need. 2, what will this money be used for?
Okay.
And 3, what is the outcome of this money being used?
Okay.
So a lot of investors, if somebody is an investor, generally they are open to giving money because that's what they do. But it's important for them to understand total pot, how much do you need? So suppose you need 10 crores and you've not raised anything, and then you're going for the first investor and asking for 2 lakhs. It doesn't make sense, right? Because then he will do the math and say, oh, you need what, 500 investors to get your 10 crores? Not going to make it. Okay, let's remove the basics out. So imagine it's a reasonable amount that you're looking for. Second question is, why do you need this money? Where is it going to be used? So is it going to be used in setting up a big office? Typically, no. Is it going to be spent in building a product which will then become scale up and then become your core of the business? Yes, usually yes.
Yeah.
Is it going to be used in maybe hiring some critical personnel who will then make your app, or possibly a good way to spend the money? Most important, you raise the money, you spending the money. Where will you reach with this money? So an investor is giving you, let's say 2 crores, 3 crores, whatever. Where are you now? Where will it take you? These 3 questions are answered, and you have a good team and you have a background of execution, mostly you will get your investment.
So you recently said that where you will go after taking this money. So recently you have heard about Byju's. I think it is the biggest downfall the country has ever experienced. So Byju's was one of the first, I think, who started the e-learning platform. So why do you think that business fall down? Because as much as I know, it falls down because it used most of the money in advertising, sponsorships and all. If you are the investor and I am pitching you to for X amount of money, and if I pitch you like I need the money for sponsoring this, for advertisement, for XYZ thing like this, but not building a product, do you think the investor will give me money?
So typically no. So again, depends on what stage you are in. So a lot of the money Byju's raised, if you look at their background, is in their scale up phase. So Byju's, when they raised, they had a core product. They had a set of working customers. Right? They had thousands of customers in India. And a lot of the big races happened to expand overseas.
Okay.
Which is not necessarily a bad way to raise funds. I'm not privy to what exactly went wrong, with Byju's. But I'm guessing the allocation of funds, the amount, as you mentioned, right? The amount that you allocate in marketing versus product development, the amount of wastage that comes with fast growth. Maybe some of those calculations went wrong.
Okay, sir. If I am an investor and I give you X amount of money, and your business is already set up, so will you spend this amount of money to advertise your Sporthood organization through a big Bollywood star or that thing? Because as I am also starting a podcast channel, then in my mind I was thinking that let us bring someone big personality so that my podcast will grow and scale up. But later on, when I discussed with my co-founder, he said it is not a good idea because after all, you will get the views for that person only, and later on your channel will be dead. So what do you think, if I give you X amount of money, will you hire some big personnel so that your brand value increases?
So there are multiple ways of building brand value. One of it is get a celebrity and then get the eyeballs that come with the celebrity. There are multiple organic ways of building brand value as well. Especially in today's age, you look at social media. There are so many social media influencers who build their brand without spending much at all.
Yeah.
So quality content, quality delivery, quality products have the ability to build a brand. So my personal bias is towards an organic growth where the core of what we are offering is what pushes the brand forward. Having said that, there will be a stage in our growth as well where we will need phases to accelerate this growth. So it's never, I mean, most answers are never absolutely yes or no, right? At the moment where we are, if you give me $1 million, I wouldn't invest in a celebrity at the moment because I feel there are other better ways of using the money now. Doesn't mean my answer is going to be the same, say, 2 years down the line.
Yeah.
So really depends on what context you are in.
Okay, sir. Like you started a business. So if I'm entering into the startup field, is it required that my idea should be unique and it is not executed by any of my competitor? Is it required or is it a prerequisite?
No, absolutely not. So I mean, you know countless examples of companies who created copycat products and have probably grown to be bigger than the original product. You take any space, and it's not even a recent phenomenon. You look at any field, you look at computers, you look at electronics, you look at any Chinese brand, right? You look at any Korean car company. Right? Hyundai is one of the largest car manufacturers in the world. Toyota, Japanese, is the largest manufacturer in the world. They were not the first ones to make cars. So same with in every field. You don't need to be the first or the only one. What most people should realize is, especially consumer-facing businesses, there are enough consumers out there in the market. You don't need to cater to them all. There is most fields, there is space for 2, 3, 4 large players and 1 million small players. So market is huge, and what you can address as a business is only a limited part of the market. So this fascination towards being very unique, or I've had founders come to me and say, I'm not sure whether I should discuss my idea with anyone else because someone may steal it. My response to them is, if you don't discuss, you won't convert it into a business, and someone will figure it out anyway. It's not like unless you have the formula for a super drug that's going to cure the world's illnesses, right? And then you want to patent it before someone else does. That's probably the only example I can think of where holding on to your idea and guarding it is going to help you. Because normal businesses, that's not the case. You have an idea, you talk to people, idea evolves, your business evolves, and it's about how you execute at the end of the day.
Sir, I heard somewhere that if you want to start a business that should grow enough, so you should target the loopholes. Is it always required that we have to target the loopholes in the system?
So what people mean by that is, if there is an established market where there are buyers, there are sellers, the already market is happening, there are large players, how do you disrupt that system? Right? So imagine a space where, let's take e-commerce or food delivery. Imagine now you want to disrupt Zomato and Swiggy and enter into food delivery, where already, it's an established process. You're used to ordering on either of these platforms. Restaurants are already tied up. The delivery partners are tied up. Now, how do you do it without burning billions of dollars? Try to build a brand. So imagine there is some gap in their delivery process which they haven't fixed so far, and then you have the answer to that. In many cases, that is the way for you to enter as the third party in the race.
So like you started a coaching for the sports field for athletes. Then, sir, how you get your first client? You are not a coach, so how you pitch
I
the
became
clients? You became one. Okay, sir.
Yeah, so most entrepreneurs again will tell you that, right? You need to, have your own medicine, whatever you make, right? You need to taste your own food if you are a chef. So same thing, right? So I've, as I told you, my starting point was I've never been coached by anyone. I've never been part of any professional team individually. But when I got into this field, I had to learn it, learn everything inside out, how coaches operate, how coaching academies work, what my customers think, what their priorities are. So it's fully hands-on. First few years I was fully hands-on, and I've done all these roles. I've taken sessions as a coach. I've put the parent hat on when my, enrolled my kids for the training. I've done focus group discussions. I've become a product manager. I've done all that. And then, build teams that do this on a daily basis. That's how we've
Okay,
grown.
sir, when you start the business, it is like from the starting only, it is not that much profitable as it is now. So how you keep yourself going on? Because now also I started a podcast. It is not it is not at all profitable only. It will take time for those newcomers who are starting their startups. What you will tell them that help them going on? Because the main phase is keep going on.
So dream on and believe in your dreams. That's what startup is about. It's not logical, right? In many cases, you didn't start this podcast because you wanted to make one podcast and then two and then three. That's not how you think.
Yes, sir.
You have a vision. You have a grand vision of where this podcast series can go to. That is the same kind of thought process that drives every entrepreneur. That vision of what success will look like gives you the motivation to keep going.
So there is a phase where you get success, and there is a phase, success might come after 3 years, but till the point where success starts, we may face many downfalls. Then how we can keep on going on those downfall? Because one downfall is okay, two downfall is okay. After facing third downfall, we are like, we lost all our motivations and all. Then what can keep us more motivated during this point where we are facing continuously downfalls?
Conviction is one word that I would say. Your conviction in yourself, your idea, is the only thing that can keep you going, because people will doubt you from left, right and center, and your code can't be shaken at that point. It all boils down to conviction. And having said that, okay, so if you start up, the other thing that you should keep in mind is you should be okay with failure as well. Not all startups succeed, and it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail. You may fail in your first startup, you may succeed in your second. So that's all right. So it's not the end of the world.
So if I say I want to start a startup, and being a student I don't have any fund, I can't ask my parents for fund also. There's a basic option left with me is that I have to lend some money from someone. Do you think we should do that if we have firm confidence that we can make this project a huge one? So should we take money or lend money at this small age only so that we can grow our business?
It depends on what your plan is, how convinced you are in your plan. If the conviction is there, why not?
So you have never doubted yourself in this whole journey?
Oh yeah, there are multiple times I've doubted myself. I'll be lying if I tell you that. Again, every entrepreneur will tell you there are phases where you doubt yourself, you doubt what you've done, you doubt your past. But then, in my case, once, I play a game of football, I get a good night's sleep, and I wake up with a fresh mind, I'm able to reboot and restart. Again, emotionally, it's very taxing. Don't underestimate that. Starting up something is very, very difficult. Doing a normal job is far easier.
Yes, sir.
You get much more peace of mind. You probably make good money also. But yeah, there is a different kind of thrill that you get while starting up. And ultimately, success in most cases will, be good. Will be a good outcome for you. But there will be doubts. Again, it's a combination of your own inner strength, conviction, and also what kind of support system you have around you, right? Most of us will need someone whom we really trust. In my case, it's been my wife. So through the most difficult phases, she's given me the courage to keep going. So all of us will need, it could be parents, it could be a good friend, it could be your spouse, it could be your co-founder, right? And yeah, those are the sources from where we'll derive strength.
So do you think that being an entrepreneur affects your personal life a lot?
Absolutely. It does.
It hampers a lot.
Absolutely. So when you're deeply passionate about something, the amount of time, effort, energy you put into it, you stop counting beyond a point. And then consequently, people around you, somewhere it has to even out, right? So if you're spending 14 hours a day at work, then your personal life will suffer. So yeah, it is, these are conscious calls that one takes and which is where the support system around you should be understanding, and you should be understanding of the support system as well, that of course they probably would have given you space, but they can't keep doing it for decades together. So
you might have many sleepless nights building this business. So in those sleepless nights, you had your wife with you, who stand up with you and help you and support you. But like someone is alone, who doesn't have anyone to support, how, and also their parents and all will not support them, because obviously our in India culture still people think that IS, IPS and doctor, engineer, that's all.
it's changing though, but yeah, you're right. Culturally, we are risk averse.
Yes sir, we don't want to take risks. So if he is starting everything on his own, he will have many doubts.
You need a co-founder.
You need a
I strongly advise everyone, don't do this alone. Alone is the worst way to start. It is too much of a pressure you're taking onto yourself. You need at least a co-founder, and you and your co-founder will need a support system around as well eventually. Otherwise, it's too much pressure for most people to take. And if you're really lucky, you may hit escape velocity and your startup may succeed. But even there, even after you scale, there will always be challenges. You need an understanding system behind you.
So do you feel from the initial phase till now, today you feel more confident and less struggles are there, or these struggles are same as you started?
Struggles are there. The nature of struggles will be different. Nature of challenges will be different. But struggles and challenges are always there. Right? Such is life. I mean, even in our daily lives, you may earn more money, you may have traveled more, you may have gained more wisdom. It doesn't matter, but every day is a new challenge. So same with startups, or companies. Right? Even if once you mature into companies, you'll have a different kind of a challenge. But the nature of challenge changes, of course.
So like when you feel totally depressed and all, what is the thing you do like to
Play
do?
football.
Play football. So means eventually you become a football coach only.
No, I mean not. Coaching. Of course, I love spending time when my son plays, so I do try to coach him as well. But yeah, I mean, I go back to sport.
Yes, sir.
That is what helps me relax.
So you are goalkeeper or attacker?
I mean, I started as a winger. As I'm aging, I've become a defender now. But yeah, I mean, spending time on the pitch anywhere, not just football. Badminton, swimming, whatever. The moment I get into sport, I'm able to forget everything else.
So you're also a swimmer also?
Yeah, I mean, casually I do everything. I play all kinds of sports.
Yes, sir. At the last, to end up our podcast, I just want to ask, what are the leadership quality you will say the newcomers in this field should have? And what are the things or what are the lessons you learned till now that you want to share with them?
Okay. Leadership qualities, I think the whole grit and determination aside, right? If you are looking at building an organization, your ability to put together a team and keep them motivated is very important. Because in most cases, you won't be able to do this alone. I mean, even with only a co-founder, you won't be able to do it. So you need people who will be motivated, who will work for you, who will stand by you. Thick and thin. So your ability to bring people together, paint the vision to them, keep them motivated, I think is a very important skill to have as an entrepreneur, as someone developing a business. What is the second question?
Sir, what are the leadership qualities?
Yeah, leadership qualities is this. This is what I would say, and advice for starting up. That comes back to this, right? You'll have tough times, but you should have the guts and the wherewithal to stick on with it, and the determination.
As I founded this podcast, we have a team of 5 people. So we also many times happen that clashes of the what they think. I think east, they will think west. So how you manage this thing?
That is the challenge that I spoke about, right? Bringing the team together. So that's an art. That you will make mistakes, right? Some of these team members will stick with you, some may not. Some new ones will come in. It is an art that you learn along the way.
Okay, sir.
But as long as you're good at it, I think you'll do better off.
Thank you, sir. It was nice talking with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. you.